Critical thinking as a path to freedom, rethinking school curriculum. If education is meant to liberate rather than control, then why do so many classrooms still treat students as passive recipients of knowledge rather than active participants in shaping it? Why do we train students to memorize facts rather than question ideas, to seek correct answers rather than explore complex questions? Could it be that true education does not happen when students are told what to think, but when they learn how to think for themselves? If critical thinking is the foundation of freedom, self-awareness, and social change, then shouldn't it be at the very core of how we teach and learn? What happens when students are taught not just to accept information, but to interrogate it? In traditional education, knowledge is often framed as fixed, as something to be absorbed rather than questioned. But what if students were encouraged to examine the systems that shape their realities, to question the forces that uphold power and privilege, and to recognize that knowledge itself is often influenced by those in control? Shouldn't education equip students not just with information, but with the tools to deconstruct, analyze, and rebuild a more just and equitable world? Emotional intelligence, EQ, tells us that self-awareness and critical thinking go hand in hand, that students who can question their own beliefs, reflect on their assumptions, and engage in meaningful dialogue are more capable of independent thought and social action. But how often are students encouraged to explore ideas that make them uncomfortable, to challenge dominant narratives, to resist easy answers in favor of deeper understanding? If students are not taught to think critically, to recognize bias, and to evaluate information for themselves, then how can they ever be expected to challenge injustice or create meaningful change? And what about multiple intelligence theory? If students process knowledge in different ways, then shouldn't critical thinking be taught through multiple lenses? A student who learns best through logical reasoning may thrive in structured debates and analysis, while another with interpersonal intelligence may excel in collaborative discussions that explore different worldviews. If education truly values diverse ways of knowing, then shouldn't we create learning environments where every student can engage in critical thought in a way that resonates with them? After all, freedom is not found in uniformity, but in the ability to think, question, and engage from multiple perspectives. If students are not encouraged to question what they are taught, to challenge oppressive systems, and to critically engage with the world, then education is not a tool for liberation. It is a mechanism for control. What if schools were designed not to produce obedient workers, but to cultivate independent thinkers? What if classrooms were spaces where students dissected dominant narratives, explored alternative histories, and engaged with knowledge as something living, evolving, and shaped by power? Wouldn't that create a society where people are not just informed, but empowered to challenge injustice, to reimagine the world, and to build something better? If we truly believe that education should be a force for freedom, then we must ask, are we teaching students to accept the world as it is? Or are we giving them the intellectual tools to question, to resist, and to transform it? Because if critical thinking is not at the center of learning, then education is not setting students free, it is keeping them in chains.